Hello, everyone, and I hope you're having a blessed third week of Advent as we now get even more close to the coming of our Lord on Christmas Day. This week, we're lighting the pink candle, which is a symbol of Gaudete Sunday, which is rejoicing. It means rejoice. And what we're rejoicing over is the fact that we're that close to the coming of our Lord. So it's kind of a special time this week with the lighting of the pink candle, as you can see right here. This week in my reflections, I would like to go over Luke's Gospel chapter, the beginning of chapter 2, which is the birth of Christ in reflections. Even though the birth hasn't occurred yet, as we're preparing for Christmas Day, it's good for us to reflect on it beforehand to understand the meaning of what's going on there. So today I'm going to start with the first two verses in Luke's Gospel, chapter 2. And it says, "In those days a decree went out from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be enrolled. And this was the first enrollment when Quirinius was governor of Syria." So this is kind of almost a little awkward, kind of the first part of the birth of Christ, because it's given us the names of everyone to show that a census is going on. Caesar Augustus from Rome called for a census. Quirinius was the governor at the time. And we look at these two people and they're historical figures. And there is some debate among scholars whether the historical figures did it at this time or not. But I think there's enough evidence to show that Caesar about this time called for a census. Quirinius had some sort of leadership position at the time as well. So it's safe to assume that Luke at least has enough facts to know there was a census that was called. That's what led the Holy Family to Bethlehem. But what is important about this? It establishes this as a historical event. With historical people. This really happened at a real particular time. And I think the interesting thing about that is, how many times do we read or watch a movie about the Nativity, and it kind of almost feels like it's like reading a story, like a fairy tale or something like that too. We know it's real, we know it happened, but when we read it and pray about it, it's almost too storybook-like. The thing is, though, in Luke's Gospel, it establishes it as a historical event by naming Augustus, by naming Quirinius. That means that this is a historical event that happened, not just some story that we read. That means Christ came into the world was a historical moment, which also means that everything he taught is stuff that he really came to the earth and taught and challenged us to, which means that his coming into the world is so real that it should be real in our lives right now and active in our lives right now. It's not just a story that we read that makes us good people. It's a real event that really happened that challenges us in his calling to himself. So I guess a good question to kind of reflect on today, this first day of our third week of Advent, is how real is the Lord in each of our lives? Is he truly present, or is he some sort of mystical being that's out there? Do we have that personal relationship with him, or is he distant from us? How real is he in our lives?